I was halfway through my morning coffee, sprawled in a lawn chair, watching my neighbor's dog chase butterflies, when my phone buzzed with a security camera alert. No big deal. I thought maybe just a stray cat setting off the motion sensor. But then I opened the feed and nearly spilled hot coffee all over myself. 3 people in matching polos and cargo pants were prowling around my living room, shining flashlights at my family pictures like they were investigating some crime scene. They wore plastic badges reading Community Patrol, but my gut said something was way off. I recognized one of them, Karen, the self-appointed head of our HOA, a woman with endless rules about hedges and driveway paint, now rummaging through my personal space. My blood ran cold. Not from fear, I'm a 20-year veteran in law enforcement training, so I've seen it all, but from sheer disbelief. Karen had once left a snarky note about my recycle bin being an inch out of place, but breaking into my house, that was a massive step up from petty fines. I jumped to my feet, grabbed my keys, and shot out the door. I had no idea this impulsive break-in would unravel a nest of power-tripping HOA vigilantes, overblown safety squads, and enough suburban drama to fill a soap opera. And I definitely didn't expect that by the time I was done, half the neighborhood would be cheering and the other half would realize they'd been living under the thumb of a devious dictator the entire time. Buckle up, because this ride gets wild. Before we dive into the full story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy unraveling suburban mysteries where justice prevails. Drop a comment letting me know if your own HOA has ever gone off the rails. I'd love to hear your experiences. Now get comfy, because this saga of Karen's neighborhood patrol is about to blow your mind. I'm Sam Rodriguez, a semi-retired instructor who spent 2 decades training SWAT teams, special agents, and local police in advanced tactics. I bought a cozy home in Maplewood Estates, your typical suburban development with well-manicured lawns and a monthly newsletter about approved flower colors. Honestly, I wanted peace and quiet after years of flashbangs and high-pressure raids, but Maplewood Estates had an HOA. At first, it felt harmless, folks comparing lawn heights, distributing flyers about neighborly potlucks. Then Karen got elected. As the HOA head, she looked pleasant enough, kind of soccer mum-ish, always brandishing a monstrous clipboard. The shift was subtle at first: stricter guidelines about porch decorations, random reminder letters for trivial things. I remember the day Karen strolled over to my driveway with that clipped smile. "Mr. Rodriguez," she began, "we have concerns about your garage. Curtains on the windows could conceal suspicious activities." I blinked. Suspicious activities? I do online training sessions for law enforcement. That's all. She tilted her head. "Well, we're forming a community safety task force. We'd like permission to conduct a routine inspection just for neighborhood security." I politely declined, explaining that I keep gear locked away all legal and I wasn't comfortable with random folks rifling through my property. Karen didn't argue, just pursed her lips. "Suit yourself. But we take Maplewood Estates safety very seriously." Little did I know, she was just getting warmed up. Over the next few weeks, more neighbors whispered about Karen's task force. She'd recruited about half a dozen volunteers, partly bored retirees, partly impressionable college kids, handed them matching polo shirts that read Maplewood Patrol, and started collecting incident reports. My incident: I used blackout curtains in my garage. Another neighbor's incident: they had tinted car windows. That morning, I was at a local training facility running new recruits through non-lethal scenario drills. I keep my phone on silent, but a motion-triggered text alert popped up around AM. Over lunch, I glanced at my phone. Multiple camera activations from inside my house. Confused, I pulled up the feed. There they were, Karen in front, wearing cargo pants and a bright orange Community Patrol vest, plus 2 sidekicks rummaging with flashlights drawn. My heart slammed in my chest. I might have chalked it up to a misguided inspection, except they'd obviously forced their way in. My front door was locked. I alerted local law enforcement with a short, calm call: "Trespassers in progress." Didn't mention my background, didn't mention the HOA. Then I hopped in my truck and sped home, tactical thoughts swirling. By the time I arrived, I saw Karen's silver SUV parked brazenly out front. I killed my headlights and parked a few houses down, snuck around back, let myself in through the side entrance. The house was dark. My automated system had turned lights off after detecting unusual movement. I heard Karen's authoritative whisper from the kitchen, "Check that closet." I'm sure he's hiding something. My jaw clenched. She was rummaging through my property like she had a warrant. Flicking on a side lamp, I stepped into view. "This is a private residence. You are trespassing. Put down whatever you're holding." Karen jolted so hard she nearly dropped her flashlight. One of her cronies, an older man named George, I think, yelped, stepping behind Karen. The third, a college-age girl wearing a makeshift community patrol name tag, fumbled. With a walkie-talkie, Karen tried to recover her composure. "Mr. Rodriguez, we're performing a mandatory neighborhood security check. The HOA bylaws allow us." I cut her off. "The bylaws don't let you break into people's homes." She had that same tight-lipped look. "We had reason to believe you possessed items that could endanger Maplewood Estates. We are the official watch group. My training instincts told me to keep them contained until the police arrived." "Then you won't mind waiting right here until the cops show up, right?" George blanched. The younger girl muttered something about just following Karen's instructions. Karen tried to push past me. "We're leaving. You have no authority to hold us." I stepped sideways, blocking the hallway. "Ma'am, you forced entry. That's burglary under state law. If you leave now, you'll only add resisting or fleeing charges." Her face turned red, but I could see the panic setting in. She started stammering about HOA security clause. Just then, the front door flew open. Officer Mitchell from the local PD, plus 2 backups. Perfect timing. Officer Mitchell recognized me. He'd trained under me a few years back. He gave me a tiny nod but stayed professional. "Folks, can you explain why you're in Mr. Rodriguez's home?" Karen tried to brazen it out. "This is an HOA matter. We have full permission to conduct a safety inspection. He's storing suspicious gear and we received complaints." Mitchell turned to me. "Mind telling me your side?" I pulled up the camera footage on my phone, showing them picking my lock and entering. Mitchell frowned. "I see no probable cause. And no, HOA rules do not supersede state law." Karen's posture collapsed. She tried to pivot, claiming I was dangerous, might be making bombs. I calmly showed Officer Mitchell the basement. Door locked and labeled, explaining it's a training area with standard issue, non-lethal equipment. 30 minutes of rummaging through legal code in Mitchell's cruiser ended with Karen and her cronies being escorted outside, read their rights, and loaded into separate patrol cars. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered, some in pajamas, some in sandals, watching the bizarre spectacle. After giving statements, I scrolled through Maplewood's neighborhood app. Posts were blowing up. Karen, along with Maplewood Patrol, arrested at Sam's house. Gossip soared. People posted screen grabs of the cops outside my door. Some neighbors who'd previously been too scared to speak up started confessing how Karen had harassed them for random violations. One woman said Karen claimed her hedges were concealing potential drug deals. Another guy said the patrol tried to follow him to work at a M because his car had tinted windows. The entire street realized we'd given Karen for too much leeway in the name of safety. I had a buddy in the local DA's office, Travis, who said they uncovered notes from the Maplewood Patrol about high-risk houses like mine where Karen insisted random break-ins were justified. She apparently used HOA funds to buy cheap uniforms and a few questionable self-defense gadgets. One neighbor discovered she'd signed off on night vision goggles under the heading Community Garden Tools. The local press latched onto the story. HOA leader arrested after breaking into law enforcement trainer's home. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing with interview requests. I turned them down, not wanting more spotlight, but the real bombshell came when a neighbor shared copies of private incident logs she'd found in Karen's front office. They were basically doxing files, personal details about residents, their schedules, even license plates. Many were flagged, "Monitor closely." With Karen in legal trouble, the HOA board scrambled to hold a meeting. Typically these gatherings get maybe 10 people complaining about landscaping. This time, the community center was packed, 50 or more residents, many outraged, some just curious. Karen wasn't there, obviously, but she'd sent out an email blaming me for twisting the truth. The interim chair, an elderly gentleman named Martin, read an official statement: "We do not condone forced entry or unauthorized patrols." Furious residents demanded to know where the HOA dues had gone. Could Karen have used them to pay for her patrol gear? Some folks wanted the entire board to resign. Others proposed disbanding the HOA altogether. but that would require a big majority vote, so Martin insisted on a more moderate approach. We'll do an internal audit, cooperate with the police, and remove Karen from any leadership role. A handful of Karen's patrol tried defending her. One young man declared she only did it because she cares about community safety. But the majority response was scathing. Breaking into someone's house is not caring. It's a crime. A woman in the front row shouted, "Karen told me to spy on my neighbor because he wore a hoodie. That's not protection, it's paranoia." Tension soared. Martin finally ended the meeting with a promise that a Ray vote for the HOA presidency would happen soon. Meanwhile, Karen faced multiple charges: burglary, trespass, possibly conspiracy if it turned out she orchestrated multiple break-ins. She posted bail quickly. Some rumor said she used leftover HOA funds. The local news station cornered her for an on-camera interview. She ranted about how I was obviously storing contraband and how the police were incompetent. The reporter asked if she had a warrant. She stammered something about HOA oversight. My own mailbox flooded with letters, some supportive, some from concerned residents. A father wrote, "Karen's group followed my teenage son home from the park, claiming he looked out of place. Thank you for standing up to them." One evening, I was tidying up gear in my garage when I noticed a shadow outside. At first, I thought it was just a cat. Then I stepped out and found a teenage girl trembling behind my trash bins. She introduced herself as Jenna, one of Karen's patrol recruits who got scared during the break-in. She apologized profusely. "Karen told us you were some dangerous ex-mercenary hoarding weapons," she confessed. "She forced us to sign up or get huge HOA fines for made-up violations. She said if we didn't help, we'd lose our parking privileges or something." Jenna's sincerity moved me. She asked if she'd face charges, and I assured her if she cooperated with the police, she'd likely just be a witness. She handed me a small USB drive. Karen told us to log every suspicious house. She put all our personal data on it too. We had no idea how illegal it was. That drive turned out to be gold. Documents showed Karen's obsession with control. Spreadsheets of suspect behavior, notes about hush money attempts, instructions for forcing entry if dangerous signs were spotted. Despite the mounting evidence, Karen tried to brazen it out in court. She hired a fancy defense attorney, claiming everything was a giant misunderstanding. She said the door was unlocked, that I'd verbally agreed to an inspection months prior. The prosecutor hammered her with the camera footage, the forced lock, the stolen USB logs.it all culminated in a tense hearing where half the neighborhood turned out. I testified calmly, showing my credentials, explaining how real law enforcement warrants work. Karen's attorney tried to paint me as aggressive. I kept my composure, referencing my cameras, the phone call to the police, and how I explicitly told them to stay put for the cops. The judge's expression remained stony throughout. Karen's "I was just trying to protect folks" speech. In the end, the ruling was swift. She was found guilty of trespass, attempted burglary, and misuse of HOA authority. The community erupted in applause when the verdict was read. The Maplewood Estates Board stripped Karen of her position and started drafting new bylaws to prevent any single person from wielding so much power. They also mandated transparency about how HOA funds are spent and created real guidelines for any neighborhood watch programs that must be coordinated with local law enforcement. A local news headline read, "HOA tyrant brought down by SWAT veteran, suburb breathes." A sigh of relief. Karen was awaiting sentencing, potentially facing probation or even jail time depending on how the judge felt about her intimidation tactics. She'd also been slapped with restitution fees and was barred from holding any HOA role in the future. Suddenly, Maplewood Estates felt friendlier. Neighbors started chatting more openly, joking about the Karen patrol. People no longer feared a fine just for having the wrong color drapes. We threw a big block party complete with barbecue and laughter echoing down the street. Folks told stories of random times Karen had shown up unannounced, shining flashlights at them. We realized just how tense we'd been. Jenna, the ex-patrol recruit, even apologized publicly. She was forgiven, especially after everyone saw how manipulative Karen had been. Many of Karen's ex-volunteers came forward with regrets and also gave statements, sealing Karen's fate in court. As for me, I still do training work. I still keep a close eye on my property. But now I also help the new HOA chair draft genuine Safety guidelines like connecting with real police for a neighborhood watch, not turning random neighbors into vigilantes. If there's one good thing that came out of this fiasco, it's that we realized how quickly a calm suburban community can spiral under the wrong leadership. Karen's sentencing day arrived, and Maplewood Estates collectively exhaled. She got probation, a hefty fine, and an order to stay 500 yards away from my house. No more self-styled patrols, no more intimidation. We watched as she left the courthouse, her once proud clipboard replaced with a somber expression. That night, our block felt brighter. Hedges glowed with festive lights, kids played on the sidewalk, and we realized we'd reclaimed our neighborhood from a would-be tyrant. Peace had finally returned, and it was glorious. If you enjoyed watching Karen's reign crumble, please hit that like button and subscribe. Have any tales of HOA horror yourself? Drop them in the comments. I'm here for all your stories and maybe a little bit of suburban justice.